Hence, I sought your cooperation in settling the outstanding debt, the spouse who abruptly burdened me with a substantial financial obligation and vanished, regardless of my persistent attempts to establish contact. Regrettably, my endeavors were met with utter silence. What course of action am I expected to pursue now? Clearing such an exorbitant debt seems an insurmountable challenge. Providentially, I found solace in the presence of an individual who uplifted my spirits during moments of despair. "Mother, cheer up," resonated the voice that offered comfort, my cherished daughter. I go by the name Kate, 35 years of age, juggling part-time employment and the responsibilities of a homemaker. My spouse, Rogan, and I constitute a family of 3. Our paths crossed at a social gathering I reluctantly attended to fill the numbers. Nervous as I was, Rogan took the initiative to engage with me, injecting warmth into the ambiance. In no time, we established a rapport and chose to exchange contact details. As our communication unfolded, a unique sentiment blossomed between us. It didn't take long for us to start dating. Who would have thought I'd end up in this kind of relationship with someone I met at a mixer? After our first date, I told my older sister Talia about Rogan, to which Talia burst into laughter and reacted like this: "Really? I never thought you'd choose a boyfriend from a mixer. I assumed you'd date someone from work or something." I've always been the quiet type. Ever since I can remember, I'm not good at socializing. Even after becoming an adult, I rarely attended gatherings like parties. It's an unexpected twist, right? You went because you were asked as a favor to make up the numbers, right? Exactly. When I showed a photo from my date with Rogan, Talia excitedly remarked, "He's surprisingly handsome." We then briefly updated each other about our lives and decided to part ways for the day. Talia has yet to marry and doesn't seem to have a boyfriend. She apparently enjoys her single life, feeling it's more laid back and comfortable. Showing no particular interest in marrying or having a boyfriend, while I can understand such a mindset, my heart is currently set on a future with Rogan. If our relationship progresses smoothly and we're blessed with marriage and children, how wonderful that would be. On my way home after chatting with Talia, a spontaneous smile graced my face. A few years later, I was able to marry Rogan. I vividly remember the moment he proposed. Overwhelmed with emotion and unable to hold back tears, we moved into a new apartment, marking the start of our married life. Having lived separately before marriage, being with Rogan every day felt surreal, almost dreamlike. Because of our differing work hours, we rarely came home at the same time. Nevertheless, we would dine together, sleep under the same blanket, and above all, cherish the moments we shared on our days off. We'd either relax at home or go for drives, making the most of our time together. During such everyday moments, a new joy was brought to our lives. We were blessed with a child a few months later. A tiny and adorable girl was born, and the emotional impact of her birth is something I believe I'll never forget for the rest of my life. We named our daughter Ria. Since Ria's birth, I felt as though I had discovered true happiness. Our parents and relatives were also overjoyed, sending a myriad of congratulatory gifts. Just before giving birth to Ria, I had resigned from my job to fully dedicate myself to my family. Rogan, always having me in his thoughts, helped with housework and childcare, even when he was presumably tired. "I'll take care of Ria so you can rest for a bit. Thank you truly. Always, I truly married a wonderful person. Living with Rogan, who treasures us, has truly been a heartwarming experience. However, a few years later, I would deeply regret marrying Rogan." Several years after Ria's birth, Rogan suddenly resigned from his job. He began to explain the detailed reasons to me, who was taken aback by the abrupt news. Apparently, he had been having issues with a new superior at work, which seemed to have taken a toll on his mental well-being. He reached his breaking point and decided to quit. I understand why he left his job, but something bothers me. If it was that tough for him, why hadn't he consulted with me even once? Of course, if a husband faces challenges at work, resigning is one of the options. But right now, our family relies on Rogan's salary. He should have discussed such a significant decision with me before acting on it. That was so sudden. Have you already thought about your next job? Yeah, don't worry. I'll figure something out. Rogan's vague response didn't ease my worries. However, it seems the only thing I can do now is trust him. Fortunately, Rogan found a new job relatively quickly. That's a relief. I also considered working, but since Ria is still young, I want to be there for her at home. Is everything okay at the new workplace? Have you settled in? Yeah, somehow. Did something happen? Are you not getting along with your boss or colleagues? I told you I'm fine. Don't worry too much. Look, I'll take care of Ria, so you go and take a bath. Really? Thank you. He seemed different from usual, but I felt that prying further might upset him. So I handed Ria to him and headed to the bath. Then, a few days later, Rogan came home looking dejected. As I tried to ask him what had happened, memories of the past flashed through my mind. I recalled the time when he suddenly announced his resignation. Did he quit his job again within such a short period? Sadly, my suspicions seemed to be right. I quit my job. Why? I just couldn't get along with the people there. I couldn't stand being constantly directed by someone much younger than me. I just couldn't bear it anymore. I see. But we'll get through this. We'll find another job. I'll help in any way I can. Suddenly, Rogan's expression changed, and he raised his voice at me. Hey, what's with that look? You don't like that I quit? You are able to eat because I work. You just stay at home and you're acting all high and mighty. After saying that, he threw his bag onto the living room table. What's gotten into you all of a sudden? Shut up, just be quiet. Unable to contain his anger, Rogan grabbed a whiskey from the fridge and downed it in one gulp. I'd never seen him this angry before. At that moment, I felt terrified. I've always been grateful to him and tried to be supportive as much as possible. An extremely angry Rogan shouted at me for a while and then plopped down on the sofa, looking grumpy. I was so shocked that all I could do was accept his words, and this incident created a rift in our relationship. Since then, Rogan has been in a cycle of finding and quitting jobs. We lived in uncertainty and experienced many anxious days. Rogan, can't you be a bit more serious about your job? At first, I tried to understand his feelings and said nothing, but given the circumstances, I couldn't keep silent any longer. You're annoying. If you have complaints, then you work and earn money. You rely too much on me, but there's Ria to consider. So what's your point? Lately, Rogan has been gradually losing interest in Ria and seems to be avoiding her. When Ria was born, he took great care of her and was genuinely happy. Observing Rogan now, he felt like a completely different person. No matter how much I pleaded, Rogan showed no interest in continuing his work. Eventually, I decided to entrust Ria to Talia and started working on my own. I'm really sorry for having to leave her with you. It's okay. Ria and I will wait together, okay? Ria, who had just started attending kindergarten, wasn't a major concern when it came to leaving her with someone. Part of it was because I trusted Talia to take care of her, but Ria was also remarkably mature and calm for her age. She showed interest in newspapers, read them on her own, and could even write long and somewhat complex sentences. Ria had a quiet disposition and was exceptionally composed for her age. When she started attending kindergarten, I was concerned about whether she'd be able to make friends. Would she be able to communicate effectively with others besides me? However, it turned out I didn't need to worry. Ria made many friends in kindergarten and enjoyed her time there. As a parent, that was the most heartwarming thing to witness. Given the situation, I felt it would be no problem for me to work outside the home. When I started looking for a job, I found one quicker than expected. Thus, I began working full-time. The pay was better than I had anticipated, and even if Rogan quit his job, our finances would probably stabilize. Thankfully, the work environment was also pleasant. Despite the busy days, I enjoyed working. A few years after I began working, Rogan finally found a stable job. He might have finally found a workplace that satisfied him. Upon learning this, I felt a profound sense of relief. Rogan's demeanor started to brighten over time, and he seemed to return to the man I knew in the early days of our marriage. He became considerate of the challenges I faced juggling work and family, often asking, "Has it been tough? Aren't you tired?" I was a bit taken aback by this transformation. Perhaps job stability had given Rogan peace of mind. Ria was growing up healthily, and Rogan started acting like a caring father to her once again. Seeing Ria play joyfully with Rogan always warmed my heart. Still, The thought of returning to the way things were before made me anxious about leaving my job. Therefore, I continued to rely on Talia for childcare. How's Ria? Is she looking well? Don't worry, she's playing happily. If Ria is doing well, I can be at ease. I'd probably continue to depend on Talia. I had been considering treating Talia to something she liked as a token of my appreciation. Several years went by, and Ria was now in the 3rd grade of elementary school. She attended school every day with great enthusiasm. The family's bond was just like before, harmonious and loving. I wondered what had caused the previous rift between Rogan and me. Our home life felt so stable, almost as if the past problems had been forgotten. Then one day, Rogan made a suggestion. Ever think about getting a new car? A new car? Yeah, our current car is good, but I think it's reaching the end of its life. If it's becoming a hassle to maintain. Indeed, the car we were using had been purchased quite a while ago. Over the years, issues increased and the repair costs started to pile up. You might be right. Maybe we should consider a new car. Yes, I knew you'd agree. By the way, I've already got some catalogs pulled ready. Thanks. I didn't expect him to be this eager about replacing the car. I was a bit surprised, but we started looking through the catalogs together. Ria, come here. Which car do you want to ride in? Let's decide together. He called Ria over, and the 3 of us enjoyed flipping through the catalogs together. However, I couldn't have imagined that this day would mark the beginning of an unexpected turn of events. A few months later, the new car that the 3 of us chose was delivered. The car we bought was a brand new model costing over $155,000. The loan was under my name. Generally, people would expect Rogan's name on the loan, but considering his unstable work history, we were concerned about being rejected. I was determined to work even harder from now on and pay off the loan. I was sure Rogan felt the same way. That's what I believed. But my hopes were shattered in an instant. Rogan stopped coming home. He disappeared along with the newly purchased car. Could it be that Rogan got involved in some kind of trouble? What should I do? At that moment, my cell phone rang. The call was from Rogan. Hello, Rogan. What are you doing? Where are you now? Out of concern, my voice raised unintentionally. Hey, calm down. But you disappeared all of a sudden and the new car is gone. What happened? Did you get caught up in some trouble? I tried to convey how I had worried every day until then, but Rogan laughed at my concerns and said something unbelievable. Actually, I found a new lover. She's more important to me than you. What? What do you mean? Let me be clear. I've fallen in love with someone else. I've already taken care of the divorce notice. I'd appreciate it if you stopped getting involved. Wait, divorce? I can't believe this. I was shocked by the mention of a divorce notice. However, I remembered a discussion we had during a big fight a while ago. Submitting the application to the court means that both parties agree to the divorce. I deeply regretted letting my emotions take control at that time. Oh, by the way, I have a debt. I'm counting on you to repay it. What? How much debt are we talking about? I think $200,000, give or take. I'm leaving all the repayments to you. With those words, Rogan abruptly hung up the phone. I never thought something like this would happen to me. Were all of his kind smiles in the past just lies? As these thoughts crossed my mind, I could feel the strength drain from my body. Mom, what happened? As I slumped to the floor, Ria rushed over, looking concerned. It's okay, honey, thank you. I tried to put on a brave face, but inside, I was filled with anxiety. How will I manage our life now with such a massive debt looming over us? The thought of the $200,000 made me feel suffocated. On top of that, there was still the car loan to think about. In a state of panic, I thought to check my bank balance. I searched the closet, drawers, kitchen, bedroom, everywhere. My ATM card was nowhere to be found. Frantically, I launched my bank app on my smartphone. To my horror, the account balance had significantly decreased. Of course, I had no memory of withdrawing such an amount. Rogan was the only suspect. I tried to contact him, but of course there was no response from Rogan. It's all over. With my mind going blank, I thought I should focus on earning money. I decided to keep this a secret from Talia to avoid unnecessary worry. Of course, I also kept it from young Ria. A few weeks after Rogan disappeared, I lost consciousness at work. When I came to, I found myself lying in a hospital bed. Where am I? Kate, are you awake, sis? Talia, with a shaken expression, entered the room with Ria standing beside her. It seemed I had fainted due to extreme stress. I was also told that I needed to be hospitalized for several days for detailed examinations. Hospitalized? What should I do after you're discharged? Let's talk about Rogan. Ria told me everything. Ria told you? Did you know? Actually, I overheard Dad's phone call. I was surprised to find out that Ria knew the truth. When it was time for my discharge, I felt down a bit, for Talia might point out that I wasn't supposed to let her know about it. Then, the next day, various tests were conducted. The results revealed that my poor health was due to cancer. Fortunately, it was still in the early stages, and there was hope for recovery through surgery. Although the surgery went well and I was discharged, returning to work immediately seemed impossible. I had no savings, and medical bills were piling up. During these challenging times, Talia and Ria became my pillars of support. When Ria explained the situation with Rogan and my current state to Talia, Talia was even more furious than I had anticipated. Talia tried to locate Rogan with a plan to make him repay the debt and medical bills, but his whereabouts remained unknown. We don't have any leads on Rogan's current location. What do we do? It was then that Talia came up with a suggestion. The car that's under your name, Rogan has it, right? How about we try to get it back? Is that really possible? As I asked in surprise, Talia shared more information. Actually, I found out where Rogan is currently working. Surprisingly, Rogan seemed to be working for a different company inside the building where Talia works. Though Talia usually opts for remote work, she occasionally visits the office and has reportedly seen him there. Knowing this, we can move forward with our plan. Then let's go to Rogan's place right away. I was eager to confront Rogan immediately. If we didn't take action soon, he might disappear again. However, Talia stopped me. Don't rush. We need a solid plan, not just a hasty approach. Ria and I have come up with a good idea. That's right. A plan. Both of them exchanged smiles. I couldn't grasp the profound implications behind their demeanor. Watching them silently, Ria beamed and reassured me, saying, "Don't worry, everything's set up." What kind of scheme had they hatched? They didn't provide the specifics, but everything became clear. A month later, while at Talia's house, there was a sudden incoming call. Checking the caller ID, it was from Rogan. I initially ignored the call, but it kept coming in repeatedly. Something must have happened. Gathering my courage, I answered, and Rogan pleaded in a frantic voice. "Hey, help me out, please." "What?" "I'll explain everything later. Just get here now. I'm about to be arrested." Rogan shared his current location and quickly ended the call. Having overheard the conversation, Talia and Ria finally revealed the turn of events. Actually, we reported the car as stolen, and the idea that was Ria's. Impressive, right? Ria blushed and looked down. Filled with gratitude, I expressed my thanks to the two of them and hurried to the place where Rogan was waiting. The park he specified was surprisingly close to my home. There were police officers gathered around Rogan. He seemed to be interrogated about something. We hurriedly approached Rogan's vicinity. First, we explained the situation to the police officers and had them leave. Afterward, Rogan ushered us into his car and began narrating the events that led to this. Glancing inside the car, a confident-looking woman sat boldly in the passenger seat. Her legs crossed, she stared at us with a cold gaze. "Thanks for coming, but why did the police come to me?" He had been surrounded and questioned by the police, yet he didn't hear anything they said. I was so dumbfounded that I couldn't find words. "Because I reported the car as stolen. After all, that car is mine." "What?" "We're divorced, so we have no current ties." Thus, the current situation paints a picture of Rogan as unauthorized, using another person's car. Reporting it stolen was the natural course of action. He probably never expected to be reported for car theft. Ria furthered the conversation with Rogan, who was visibly shaken. "Dad, why did you leave us behind? Why won't you pay back the money yourself? Explain." Rogan let out a sigh and looked at us with an exasperated expression, but he remained silent. "If you're just going to remain silent, I'll report it to the police. Do you realize that using my name without permission is a crime?" Hearing this, Rogan began to talk, bit by bit. He mentioned his mistress, Lily. Apparently, she recently joined the company where Rogan works. They connected during a company welcome party, which developed into a romantic relationship. Shockingly, about 3 months ago, he found out she was pregnant. Looking at Lily's stomach, it was evident that she was expecting. So you chose her over us and left? That's a bad way to phrase it, isn't it? But the fact remains you left, right? Talia suddenly interjected, and Rogan seemed taken aback. Ignoring his surprised expression, Talia continued her line of questioning. She began to lash out at Rogan, criticizing his past actions, his irresponsible behavior towards the family, constantly changing jobs, and his quick temper often resulting in him raising his voice in anger. Rogan, deep in thought, or perhaps just tuning her out, bowed his head and remained silent. Lily's face contorted in evident irritation. At this, she continued to press him about the reason for the $200,000 debt, but he stayed mute. Then, seemingly unable to hold back any longer, Lily revealed a shocking truth. He borrowed money in his wife's name for me, gifting me a lot of luxury branded items. I was truly lucky. A debt of $200,000 due to gifts for Lily. What on earth did he buy? From her story, it can be inferred that he purchased several expensive luxury items. It's hard to believe, but what was more curious was how easily Lily revealed the reason for Rogan's debt. If they were in cahoots, revealing such information would put them at a disadvantage. While contemplating this, Rhea posed a question to Lily. "Your belly's pretty big. Is it a baby? When are you due?" "In about 3 months, I guess." Giving birth in 3 months? That calculation didn't seem right, considering she was supposedly impregnated 3 months ago. Shouldn't there be more time? Talia, too, seemed to notice this inconsistency and pressed Lily further. "Is that baby really Rogan's? Isn't it odd for the baby to be due in 3 months? Whose child is it?" Talia voiced her suspicions directly. Although surprised, Lily didn't seem intent on hiding anything. "Actually, the child isn't Rogan's. I thought about keeping it a secret, but I figured it'd be a hassle to get further involved with him, so I'll just spill the beans." "Is that why you were honest about the debt, too?" "Yeah, there's no point being with Rogan anymore after all." She said so with a mocking expression. The atmosphere was heavy and hellish. I wanted to get away from here right now. Meanwhile, Rogan stared intently at Lily with an incredulous expression. "Hey, what are you talking about? This is a joke, right? Why would it be a joke?" "I mean exactly what I said." The tension increased, making the atmosphere even more stifling. Amidst this, Talia took charge of the situation. "Anyway, I'll call the police." "Huh? What are you talking about?" "I couldn't care less about you two, but remember, borrowing money under Kate's name is a criminal act. Plus, using the car without permission is also a crime, especially since Rogan and Kate are complete strangers. Talia instructed me to contact the police. Rogan and Lily were frantically trying to talk their way out of the situation. However, I ignored their pleas and made the call. After a while, I could hear the sirens approaching. This should make them face the consequences. The issues regarding the debt and the car should be on their way to resolution." I felt a huge relief. Finally, things were sorted out. In the end, Rogan and Lily faced legal action. They didn't end up in prison, but they had to shoulder responsibilities such as compensation payments, repaying the debt, and child support. On several occasions, they tried to reduce the payments through lawyers, but a secret recording that Rhea had made was used as evidence, so their requests were denied. The reason why Rhea had made the recording was because of a scene from a TV show she had watched with Talia. While I thought she was really quick-witted, I couldn't help but wonder what kind of shows Talia had shown Rhea. After all that, Rhea and I now live with Talia. Rhea didn't face any issues commuting to school, since the distance from our previous residence was quite close. The car was safely returned, and it seems Rogan is somehow managing the debt. If Rogan hadn't made those wrong decisions in the first place, he wouldn't have had to face such hardships. In this whole incident, the presence of Talia and Rhea was significant, and thanks to them, the situation is heading towards resolution. I'll work hard from now on, hoping for a peaceful life with the two of them.